Hi, and welcome to the Freedom Law Group Law Library. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into the 16th Amendment, an amendment shrouded in deception and fraud, yet foundational to the federal income tax system that has ensnared millions of Americans. The 16th Amendment was introduced as a workaround to a major obstacle, the Supreme Court's ruling in Pollock v. Farmers Loan and Trust Company, 1895. This decision struck down the federal government's ability to impose a direct income tax, declaring it unconstitutional because it violated Article 1, Section 9, Clause 4 of the Constitution. For those seeking to consolidate power through taxation, this ruling was a disaster. In 1913, the 16th Amendment was introduced to bypass these constitutional restrictions, allegedly giving the federal government the power to levy an income tax without apportionment among the states. However, the legitimacy of the amendment is highly questionable. Its ratification process was riddled with fraud, manipulation, and over 100 documented discrepancies. One glaring example is Kentucky, where congressional records show the state rejected the amendment. Yet U.S. Secretary of State Philander Knox counted Kentucky's vote as an approval. Similar falsifications occurred in other states, where votes were either misrepresented or outright fabricated. By the principle that fraud vitiates everything, the fraudulent ratification process should render the 16th Amendment void. And yet, it remains. Even as late as 2003, U.S. District Court Judge James C. Fox openly acknowledged the issue, stating, "If you examined the 16th Amendment carefully, you would find that a sufficient number of states never ratified that amendment." Despite this, he admitted that the amendment is unlikely to be overturned because it has become too entrenched in the system. But here's a critical point that most Americans don't realize: Pollock v. Farmers Loan and Trust Company has never been formally overturned. Unlike landmark cases such as Roe v. Wade, which was explicitly overturned by Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, no Supreme Court decision has ever nullified Pollock. Legal experts often claim the 16th Amendment nullified the decision, but that's simply not true. The Pollock ruling still stands, highlighting the shaky legal foundation of the federal income tax system. The real purpose of the 16th Amendment wasn't to expand the government's lawful taxing authority, it was to create the illusion that Americans were legally obligated to pay federal income taxes. Through carefully crafted language and semantic manipulation, the government deceived millions into voluntarily entering the tax system. Former President William H. Taft, who introduced the 16th Amendment, documented its legislative intent in the congressional record. He made it clear that income taxes were intended only for those working within federal jurisdictions, such as Washington, D.C., and U.S. territories. Americans living and working in the 50 states of the Union were never the intended taxpayers. Proof of this lies in the statutory definitions of terms like United States and state within the tax code. These terms, as defined in 26 U.S.C. Section 7701, refer only to federal jurisdictions, not the 50 states of the Union. This is why federal income taxes apply only within federal zones, not to Americans in the 50 states. The 16th Amendment, then, was never about lawful taxation of Americans in the 50 states of the Union. It was about creating a self-perpetuating system of voluntary compliance. By signing their first tax return, Americans unknowingly volunteered to become statutory taxpayers, entering the jurisdiction of the District of Columbia. Understanding this deception is crucial. The fraud that marred the ratification process, the semantic deceit embedded in the tax code, and the manipulation of the 16th Amendment's legislative intent all point to one undeniable conclusion: Americans in the 50 states of the Union have been tricked into believing they are legally obligated to pay federal income taxes when they are not. If you're ready to learn how to break free from this system and reclaim your rightful status, click the link below this video.